Hey, this is Rant and Robin. Welcome to episode 2 of Morality in Comics, where again we're going to look at the Green Lantern Green Arrow 1970 to 71 series. This is part 2 of a several part series. First off, we have a scene where the Guardian gets convicted of a crime because he looked out for Hal Jordan instead of helping the world at large. And as a result, the Guardians are punishing this one lonely Guardian who feels part of being human is looking out for your friends rather than the well-being of a large group of people. When this Guardian reaches the planet where trial is being held, we find out that this whole trial is just a farce, being run by one guy who has taken over the planet in the absence of this one Guardian, and now believes that robots will soon come to rule the world, as they are the superior life form because they never die. This lone Guardian gets convicted to the death penalty, in which he will be covered in this plastic and it will suffocate him to death. When Hal Jordan finally gets to where he's going to rescue him, he pulls him out of the plastic to find that he's still alive and has held his breath the whole time. When asked why he did that, he said, "I've learned one lesson. Where there is life, there is hope." Next comes a very serious issue, one of overcrowding. Overcrowding is a serious issue because as more and more people try to use the natural resources of a planet, they become harder and harder to come by, and less of each resource becomes available for each person, thereby making it impossible for people to live and causing riots and fights, as in this situation. Alright, next we find out that all this overcrowding was a result of one woman who had reproduced offspring via scientific methods and had cloned at will. When asked why she used her scientific genius for evil, she said that she thought a woman was nothing if she wasn't a mother. How false that is. How valuable a woman can be despite whether she has kids or not. At the end of this comic, Green Arrow reminds Dinah, or Black Canary, that the world we live in is not always a cheerful world, but all in all there's a lot of good stuff to be found if you look. In the next comic, Hal Jordan is a captive of some Amazonian women, yes, one and the same that Wonder Woman came from. And Black Canary reminds them that they should not be working for another male, or else they are just going against all of their principles by doing the work of one man, who is actually the head of all of them, and they realize that she is right, and thereby let Green Lantern go. Next, we have Black Hand, the man himself who is controlling the women who almost killed Green Lantern. Now Green Lantern talks to him and says, "Why did you end up drugging all these people?" And he admits, "I drugged them so that they would not be curious and they would not fight and they'd just be willing employees. Because if you give people a little bit of happiness, even if it's drug-induced, they won't ask questions and they'll just do what you want." What a sad commentary on the state of things. Ooh, next we have the big one that I talked about in last episode, where Green Arrow finds out that his own ward, Roy Harper, otherwise known as Speedy, is now a drug addict, and how will he deal with it? When Green Arrow first realizes that Roy Harper might be taking drugs or that something is wrong even though he doesn't know the specifics of it, he says, "Well, was it me? Did I somehow fail the kid? I haven't paid him much attention." But he shouldn't need attention. "No, I'm innocent of blame." But really, is he innocent of blame? He never gave his son any love. Meanwhile, one of Roy Harper's friends dies of an overdose. This part of the comic is a very dangerous part, as it is a commentary on the state of things in our own world. As the effect of drugs become less and less able to affect your senses, you begin to take more and more until one day you end up just overdosing and dying. Green Lantern is the first one to realize that Roy Harper has a drug addiction, as Green Arrow is not willing to admit it when he first figures it out. Green Lantern takes him to Dinah, but before he's talking to him, he asks him about what he's done and why he didn't believe the people when they said drugs were bad. And he said, "Well, your age group of adults has always lied to us. They've told us different things that were never true. Roy Harper then launches into a commentary about the state of things in our society, as he talks about a whole group of people, the kids, who are suffering and dying in the streets, people without money who have nowhere else to go but to turn to drugs for that comfort and happiness because no one else will help them out, and that drugs seem like a viable option until the kid turns up dead in the street. At that moment, Oliver Queen, or the Green Arrow, sheds a tear, realizing that Roy Harper has grown up right before his very eyes. Next, we meet a very young version of a well-known Green Lantern, John Stewart. At first, Hal Jordan doesn't think it's right that the Guardians have chosen John Stewart as his replacement, as John Stewart is black. And at that time period, it's hard for a white man and a black man to talk, or even interact, as the society is more racist at that point. Hal Jordan makes John Stewart a copy of his outfit, but John Stewart says, "I don't need a mask. I want everybody to know who I am, because this man lets it all hang out." Alright, join us next time as we tackle the issue of racism. This time when John Stewart confronts Hal Jordan with the startling news that the President of the United States, or the soon-to-be President of the United States, is in fact a racist. And see how this issue affects the interaction between John Stewart and Hal Jordan. Alright, I'll talk to you next time, and I'll see you in part 3.